Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 351 of How Do You Write? I'm Rachael Herron. I'm so excited today to bring you this show, which is kind of a special bonus show. You may have already heard it, honestly, if you were a fan of the Writers Well podcast. Back in the day, if you still had that on your feed, you may have seen pop up a week or two ago a new episode. I meant to push this out then, but I forgot. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. So that is happening today. I'm catching up with my friend Jay Thorn, and I could not be happier to hang out with somebody. You know that I love this guy, and we talk about what is going on with us, what is new. It just felt so good to reconnect with him. So I hope that you enjoy this show with the always fabulous Jay Thorn. That is going to be coming up. What has been going on around here? Well, it has just been so busy. Lala and I were talking the other day, and we realized that since November, it is now March as I record this, since November, we have trained for and then walked an epic great walk. It's called one of the great walks, 5-day walk, hike. We were approved for a loan. We shopped for, bought a house, suddenly packed, gave up our old apartment, moved, unpacked, had our first house guest for 10 days, had a party, got a puppy. And in the meantime, I've been managing some health stuff, some migraines, some just some other stuff that hasn't been that fun. It's been so busy that both Lala and I are just looking forward to perhaps a little bit of boredom. I don't think you can be bored around a puppy, honestly. And little Professor Junebug is absolutely a delight. She's also a ball of electricity. And I hope that she doesn't chew any electricity. God forbid. But she's teething. She's 5 months. She's teething again, or for the first time. I don't know. She doesn't have very many teeth in her head or very many brains. Those are coming, hopefully. And she's just such a love. And it is so, so, so fun to be around her. So that has been great. I also went away for that retreat that I told you about. I was gone for 4 nights, which was exactly right, because on the fourth night, I had that, I wish I could be home now feeling, which is exactly where I want to get. And the whole time I was there, I was in a very cluttered Airbnb. You have never seen an Airbnb cluttered like this, with crystals and candles and shells. And there were many, it was a very small place, but there were very many tables. And every single table was covered with bowls holding things, or jars holding things, to the point where there was not a place to put my coffee mug. There was no table to eat at. There was just a sofa and many tables. I had to stack bowls upon bowls in order to put a coffee cup down. And honestly, it stressed me out a little bit. And it also had so many smells, and I'm quite sensitive to smell. And I suspect that is because it was a very, very damp place. It was literally on the ocean. It was incredible. The waves were so loud. And it's New Zealand, so it's all single pane. And, I'm writing in my journal. And by the second day, my journal, which I had been leaving on the table, and I use a fountain pen. And on the second day, the page just started soaking up all the ink, and my letters started to bleed because the paper was so wet just by sitting on the table inside the Airbnb. So I think that maybe all the smells of the candles and all of the incense, so much incense, it definitely made me feel like I was gonna have a massage in 10 minutes. Like it was very spa scented. But it was wonderful. It was still wonderful. I brought way too much food to eat, like I always do. I was only there for 4 nights, but I brought an entire chicken and Gouda pie, which would probably serve me for 4 nights. And I brought an entire chicken and roasted root vegetables that then I roasted. And then I realized, well, I'm not here for 8 days. I'm here for 4 days. So I had lots of food. I never left. I never moved the car. I just walked on the beach. I read, I think, 4 books. And I wrote in my journal a ton. I ideated. I thought about things. I read Tara McMullen's What Works, which was a really fabulous way of looking at goals from a neuroatypical way. I very much enjoyed it a lot. I took away a great deal from that, and I actually will be sharing my notes from that book with the Patreon patrons who are at that level to get my nonfiction book reading notes. So that'll be coming. And I read a couple of novels. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which I'd been meaning to get around to. And I didn't know if it would be, too lightweight or whatever. It was perfect. It was the most enjoyable book. It was a true rom-com that was very much being meta about romance. It was delightful. So Book Lovers, if you're looking for something just to transport you and be truly a pleasure to read, I can highly recommend that. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And then on the fourth night, when I was getting cranky that I wasn't home with my wife and with my puppy, I finally turned on the television. She had Netflix on the television. And I was like, I don't want to watch TV. I don't do social media. I don't look at my phone when I'm doing these things, except to talk to friends on, apps, communication apps, my sisters and Lala. But I just was kind of losing it, and I needed a movie. And I watched the Greta Gerwig Little Women, I think for the third time. I saw it twice in the theater. And what a movie for writers. I just love that movie. I love that adaptation. I love everything about it. And it was storming that night with thunder and lightning, and watching Little Women with a candle on made me wildly kind of almost frantic with joy. And I'm going to try to write about it and explain it, but this bittersweet feeling of how can I be here? How did I get here? How am I lucky enough and privileged enough to be here? How is that okay? I had some guilt about it. I had some grief about just, I don't know, maybe the fact that I was there, but my loved ones weren't. It was just kind of a beautiful melange of many, many, many feelings, which I did soak away in the hot tub. So the hot tub that was right there. So that was great too. But yeah, I like to go on these solo writing retreats to feel the feelings and to think the thoughts and rejigger the plans. I have rejiggered plans again for writing, which is what I do. I decide what I want. I decide how to get there. I really do try to do this on a quarterly basis. And I look forward to the next 3 or 4 months, what's going to happen in them. And I have a plan of action for April, May, and June, and possibly July. And I think my next trip is scheduled for the end of July, because before I even leave on the one I'm going to, I schedule the next one. That is super important for me as a human being to be able to do that. And I'm very, very grateful and lucky that I get to do that. So that was wonderful. And I'm very glad to be home and being with this puppy and the training, which is going to be a challenge, but fantastic. Okay, I'm going to thank Lisbeth Missoula. Beautiful name. I'm probably not saying it right, but thank you for joining my Patreon. And for you, I wish the sun on top of your head and on your shoulders that warms you and makes you feel like a daffodil reaching for the clear blue sky. I wish that sense of ease and peace for you, Lisbeth, and for all of my patrons who are supporting me. It means the world. You can always look at that over at patreon.com/Rachael. And now let's jump into the interview with my dear friend, Jay. You're going to love this. It was so good to catch up with him. I wish you, my friend, happy writing. And here we go. Hello, Metal.
Oh, hello, Petal. How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Look at your hair.
I know, it's really long, eh? And I may have given it a little bit of a rock and roll cut last night.
Yeah, you're kind of getting a little badass there, you know?
Finally. Oh my goodness. How are you doing? It's been so long since we talked. I cannot even remember the last we talked. Do you remember?
I don't. I mean, I know I thought we talked between our last update episode, but I don't remember. And then I forgot to look at when the last update episode even was.
I want to say it was not that long after we moved into our apartment on the other side of Wellington. So maybe, could it have been like a year ago?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
About right?
Yeah.
Oh Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I check in with you every once in a while. I catch some of your podcasts. I'm always behind, but now you have a new one, of course. Everybody take a drink because Shay has a new podcast. Tell us a little bit about that
So
if
do
you don't mind.
Yeah, so do you since last time we
That's
talked.
true. I do. Although I've done nothing with that. Like I don't have to do anything fancy with it. But what's yours?
Yeah, same. I guess a little backstory is I left Writers Inc. In January, as we're recording this in March of 2023, and there's no drama. I'm still buddies with JD, but Zach and I both left. I had gotten to the point in where the interviews were just becoming a lot of work, and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It was between like reading the book and preparing and conducting the interview. It was like 5, 10, 12 hours a week.
Oh,
and
no, that's not okay.
Like,
that's too much.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it for a long time. I mean, I think I did 150 some interviews, and it was fine.
Wow.
But then I went to the guys and I'm like, I'm kind of burnt out on doing these interviews. Like they're wonderful people and I really enjoyed it, but like every week, and so, I had suggested maybe we just pull the plug on the podcast, and JD like really didn't want to do that. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but I'm not doing the interviews anymore. So someone had the idea of, well, why don't we get a new, we'll add a host and that host can do the interviews. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's definitely cool. So I reached out to my buddy, Christine Degla, and like worked with her and got her on board, and she started doing the interviews and did that for about a month or so. And then I was like, I'm not digging the podcast anymore at all. It was the opposite. I was even more disengaged when I wasn't doing the interviews.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I said, like, listen, I have to be honest. Like, it's not fair to the listeners. It's not fair to you guys. I'm going through the motions. Like, and JD wanted me to stick around for a few more months, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I was like, I can stick around for a few more weeks, but like, I can't just keep showing up and like.
You and I have always been pretty good about knowing when to fold them. And I have to give you credit because like Sasha Black told me about the book Quit, but then she said she heard about it from Joanna Penn, and Joanna Penn told me that she heard about it from you. So we all read the book Quit by Annie Duke because of you. And I really freaking love that book. It reminds us that quit is the opposite side of the coin of grit, and we need both. Mm-hmm. We absolutely have to have both. And quitting is so often such a good thing to do.
It is, and I've quit so much, and that podcast was one, but like that book is so great because it's not only about quitting things, it's how to start them. Yeah. Like like the kill criteria thing. Yes, like
I love the kill criteria.
World, right? So like the new podcast. So Zach and I got together with our buddy T.W. Piperbrook, and we decided to do a buddy podcast. So we're 3 writers, but like. And sometimes we talk about writing. Most of the time we're making fun of each other, or we're telling stupid stories or jokes. And like all of us were like, let's just have fun with this. We don't care what happens with it. But we set up kill criteria. And so like the rules are that like there's no guests. If one of us can't record, we don't record. And the first person who says, I'm done, I've had enough, we end the podcast.
Oh, I love that.
We don't find someone else. We don't go with 2 people. It's like it's the 3 of us or it's nothing. And there is one little wrinkle to that, which is if one of us dies, the other 2 have to come back for 1 episode to make fun of the guy that died.
Oh, that's terrible. I hate that rule, and I also love it.
Isn't that awful?
And respect it. Oh, that's so good. That's so awesome. What else might you be using kill criteria in your life for?
Oh my goodness. Almost everything now. Like, I have, I've been working on a mainstream, I keep saying thriller, it's more of a mystery, but I've been working on like a mainstream thriller mystery book, and it's done. And like, I'm going to be publishing that at some point, this year. I'm still trying to figure that out. But, before I started, I was like, okay, I need a kill criteria. Like, because this is like my last really good shot at writing super commercialized, like mainstream fiction. Like if this doesn't sell, I'll still write the rest of my life, but I'm not going to like get on the hamster wheel anymore for it. I'll just write things that I enjoy. But the kill criteria is going to be like, it's going to be sales on book one or page reads. And like, I don't know what the number is, but there's going to be a number, right? And it'll be like, okay, if I don't get X number of sales by this date, then I'm done. But if I do, then I'll write book two. And that, like, it takes such the weight off your shoulders, you know, like you're just, because there's no guessing. It's not a gut feel. It's not emotional. It's not like, well, do I really want to write this? It's like, no, if I hit this number, I write it. And if I don't, I don't. And whatever happens, happens.
I love that so much.
Oh. Yeah. So yeah, the podcast, by the way, is called Men in Black Shirts. Because that's basically who we are. But yeah, that's the new podcast, and I've been dipping in and out of what do you guys, the hybrid name you guys call it?
The Black Herron.
The Black Heron. Yes.
So we both have black in our title, and we're both wearing black shirts at the moment, of course.
There you go.
So the Black Heron is my once a month podcast with me and Sasha Black, where we just kind of talk about the state of the union, and it's super, super fun. And neither of us started a new podcast for it. Like, we both push it out on our separate podcasts, and it goes to the Patreon subscribers of both of us first. They get it a month in advance, and that's all it is. And it's super chill and lovely, and we try to read a book, and then if we don't read the book, we're like, oh well, we didn't read the book, you know.
Yeah.
We haven't set up any kill criteria.
Good chemistry too.
We do, but like, you know, and it's all about the chemistry. And I just heard from somebody, was it this week or last week, who said, I'm supporting you on Patreon now because I still miss you and Jay on the Writers Well, and I guess I'll do this. So, and we always have that. So I love catching up with you here. So let's go back to your writing. So you're writing this crime novel. But I'm going to push back because that's what I do. What if you write this crime novel? Great, sells, that's fine. But then you think of another wildly commercial idea. You could change your mind. You could write the book and say, okay, I'm going to try this one more time. Like, it doesn't have to be over forever.
No. And I don't, I think what I don't want to, I hate like the paid ad stuff and the marketing stuff. Like, I hate that, you know, I hate it. And like, I think what I need to know is I need to know that I don't have to do that. Otherwise, I don't want to write in that way. Like, if that's what it takes, like if I have to spend like 2 hours a day on Amazon ads, then I just don't want to play that game.
Right.
Like, I just don't. I'm not saying it doesn't work or I can't do it. I just don't. I don't know. This is another part of the conversation. I feel like my entire life shifted post 50. I feel like there's so many things I let go of, so many things I don't care about. I don't know if you feel anything like that, but for me, I just feel like a tremendously different person.
Yeah, me too. Now that you say that might explain why I have so many fewer fucks to give about, especially traditional publishing. I just don't care. And I have not ever equated it with me turning 50, which was like about 6-7 months ago. When was it for you? A little bit less, right?
It'll be about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. But now I'm just really committed to writing books that I want to write, that I love writing. And if they sell traditionally, great. And if they don't sell traditionally and I self-publish them, great. And if they don't sell, either way, I don't care. I just want to be able to write the books I want to write, and stepping off of that fear, worry, hamster wheel of trying to make it work.
Yep.
I don't know if you have you and Joe have always been like way ahead of the curve on all the AI stuff and you know, GPT and all of it. But for me, thinking about how awesome all of that stuff is and how much it's going to help writers has also helped me release a lot of it. Just like there's going to be so much good writing out there that the only writing that I can bring to the table is my own best writing that I do in my own voice because I love it. But no one will ever be able to be me, ever.
Yep.
And that's what I want. That's what I want people to want. And that's what I want to write.
Yes.
And that's it, period.
Yep. Yeah, we're in the same headspace. Like
Yeah, as usual.
I was saying to Zach. Yeah, I was saying to Zach. I'm like, because Zach's like in his late 30s, mid to late 30s, and I'm like, dude, I hated my 40s. I just felt like I was adrift, like I was lost. I was questioning things, like I wasn't sure. I didn't, I don't know. Like I don't know. And it just seemed, and I've heard this from a number of people, like that. And I think there's some brain science around it, like that. There's the crystallization that takes place once you turn 50, and I don't know. I just I love being this age now, and I have, I just don't give a fuck much about anything. Like my friends and my family, and like other than that, I just don't care.
Yeah. So where does your writing now? What are you most passionate about your writing right now at this moment?
I'm not super passionate about my writing right now, and I think
Fair.
I can own that. I've really recommitted to music, and I've been just doing a lot of stuff around music. And again, it's not making me any money, but it's what I'm thinking about when I wake up. I'm like, oh, I get that hook on that song I got to finish, or I get that track I need to tweak. And so my, as far as income goes, I'm still coaching authors, and then I have a plan at the end of 2023. I'm gonna become more like a business coach, so like an honorary quarter kind of thing. So there will always be writing involved in some way. I'll always write fiction, but I've sort of done a slow pivot away from a lot of the hardcore rapid release stuff that I was either planning on doing or doing 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, I don't want a rapid release shit. Period. Period.
How's your teaching going?
Great. I love it. I absolutely.
You're still doing the 90 days classes, right?
I'm doing the 90 days classes, and I do 3 months on, 1 month off, and it's so fabulous. And this is another shift this year that occurred within the last 12 months or so, that I'd always had a tiny bit of me that was like, well, those who can do and those who can't teach. And I just realized that's not true. Number one, I'm a good writer, and I love writing, and I'll always love writing above everything else. But number two, I'm a really good teacher. And that,
yes,
I was always trying to push it down and well, I should be making more money from writing than I am teaching. And that's just bullshit. I love doing it. It lights up every fiber of my being to watch people finally finish their books and publish their books and get them out in the world and go to readings and signings. And I've had students traditionally publish and self-publish and win awards and be in the library. And it just makes me so happy. And I'm just embracing that as part of me. And that is another thing that I love to write about. I love to write about the writing.
Yep.
And I'm currently writing on 2 books about writing. One is 90 Days to Done, which, whatever. But I'm working on a mindset book about writing, because I have stuff to say about that, and how to make writing easier for those of us for whom it has always been difficult. And it's just so fun. It's so fun. And I have
you thought about
much thanks to give you for that, because you're the one really who talked me into it.
You
and Mariah.
did it, though.
Yeah.
Have you thought about going back and listening to any of the Writer's Well episodes for your mindset book?
No, I never have. I should do that, eh?
I'll tell you why I'm mentioning it. Part of what I'm doing for my business coaching is I'm doing a limited edition podcast where
Of course you are.
I'm showing the journey, right? Yeah, and it's going to be comprised of audio snips from the 1,200 episodes I've recorded. And I got to tell you, most of the content is coming from our podcast.
That's because we went
conversations, deep. We went deep, and it was a lot of mindset stuff. It wasn't necessary. I mean, we were writers, but it wasn't necessarily related to writing. It could be creative work or business work, and the conversations are so good. And I'm literally going through it now and re-listening to some of those conversations, and I'm like, wow, these were really good.
Oh, I love that. Maybe I will do something like that someday.
Never know. You could get a transcript of a 10-minute segment of a conversation, because we hit so many of the topics around mindset.
Yeah, that is a fabulous idea. And I wonder how I have changed. I know that I have changed around my embracing this idea of one of my main gifts in life is teaching.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing my wife always says, the one thing that I always said that I would never do when we met is I'll never teach. I don't want to do that.
You said that.
Oh yeah. Very, very clearly. Because I had taught right out of grad school and I'd hated doing it. I'd been teaching like at an arts college for students who wanted to be artists and never touch English. And I hated that experience and I felt really small and I didn't know what I was doing and I was 25 and so I love it. I love it.
That's great.
So that's good.
That's so good. Yeah.
And wait, so are you still doing the podcast with Chris too?
No.
Okay.
So the only podcast I'm doing right now is with Tyler and Zach.
That must be just like you don't have to think about it. You just roll up.
It really is. I mean, we it's like meeting at the bar or something, or having a night out, and we have a little bit of structure to it, but very very little, and just enough so that we're not like staring at the wall trying to figure out what to do. Yeah. But it's just basically show up and Tyler goes and writes jingles and he writes parody songs, and so there's all kind of nonsense, and it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun, and that's another thing. I've really moved away from a lot of the the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram stuff. I still believe in it, but I think I'm coming to realize that I was probably limiting myself in a number of ways. You get into a situation and my immediate response is, well, I'm an INTJ, I can't do that. Or oh, that's not going to work for me. And, that kind of neglects the idea that you can still grow and learn as you get older, and you can still change and you can still evolve. And so, I don't know, I'm quite, I think I'm not necessarily as introverted as I once was. And I'm seeking out more social connection more so than I ever had.
That's so interesting. And I have gone the other way. I used to be more extrovert.
No way.
I used to be an ENFJ, and the last time I tested, I was an INFJ. And I feel it. Every year that is added to my person, I need more time alone, more time than I have ever needed alone. And I think maybe the
that's
pandemic
a big letter to
helped me
change, right?
That. What's that?
I said that's a big letter to change. That first letter from an I to an E to an I.
Huge letter, and I'm probably closer to the A, ambivert, on either side. But the fact that I think it just has to do a lot about thinking about energy and watching what happens to my energy every time I do anything. For a few months I was tracking, I was giving a number point. I would do something. I would do anything. I would do email. I would teach a class. I would do a podcast. And then I would write down on a number scale how I felt energy-wise. And I was watching the dips, and the biggest dips that I always took were after I connected with somebody. However, that's not a bad thing at all. That is just me knowing that there is a cost to what I want to spend the bulk of my time doing, and spending it with other people that I care about is always going to be the most important thing to me. And I have to have some kind of plan on how to be alone and refuel after that. And that's something I never allowed myself to do before. I would just power through from one thing to another. And now I'm oh, I have done that. Now I need to go get in the bed and read a book for an hour. That's what I have to do. And I'm going to come out of this fine and calm and not overwhelmed. And so, learning these things about us is so, so great. And I love that you're rejecting the labels. Fuck the labels.
Yeah, I mean, I still need to recover. And I still hit a wall where if I'm out somewhere, I'm okay, I'm done, I'm leaving. But I don't automatically throw up my letters up as a defense. And
yes,
but the other big thing since we talked, you're a homeowner in New Zealand now. Congratulations! It's
freakish. It is. It's so weird. It's so weird. So we've been here for I guess, I don't know, 20 months or something like that. And it was just in December, we decided to see what it would take to be approved for a home loan. And we just never thought we would do it because Lala is still unemployed. And we thought the bank would tell us no, and here's why. And then we could work toward it. And they said yes. And then 13 days later, we owned a home. It just moves We couldn't move into it for another month because we owned the home, and then all of New Zealand shuts down for 1 month at the holidays at Christmas for summer, and like we had to have a solicitor to move the money, but the solicitor was off for a month. Like everybody was off, so we owned this home but couldn't do anything except pack, which was perfect. But it's been wild, and it's a short-term mortgage, 15-year mortgage, so at a high rate, which makes me nervous. But then we'll be able to pay it off and still be not, in our 80s and 90s. And it's a beautiful home. And I'm just looking like out into this garden that goes up behind the house. And it's in this gorgeous little village in Wellington, which is the one town in New Zealand that we wanted to live in. And we didn't think we could afford it. And we can. And
How
we
amazing.
are. And it's lovely. We just had our first house guest come from the States, and she was with us for about 10 days. And she was like the perfect house guest because she was one of those people, when you walk around something that you really love and you imagine showing it to somebody you care about and they really, really get it. She was that person.
Yes.
Like we would show her, look at those birds. And she said, what's the bird's name? Where do they live? What do they do? So it's just been, and we both love living here. We had our first party 2 weekends ago. We had a housewarming that I insisted on throwing when our friend was here, and then I regretted it, of course, as soon as the closer the date got. I was like, why am I doing this? But then there was this point at which the whole house and the backyard was full of people that we have made true friendships with, just filling the house and really, really being awesome and kind. And there were kids running around and dogs that weren't we don't have a dog yet, but that's coming soon. Dogs, running around the hill. Like we literally bought this house so we can get a dog and 2 kittens. So, but yeah, it was the right choice to move here. And it was so terrifying. It's probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life was sell the house and move. And you were doing something very similar at the same time. Now, where are you living now? You're still in the same place?
Yeah, still in the same place.
Yeah.
For about 12 more months.
And
then we'll see. Youngest daughter is going to be heading off to college, most likely. She might want to go to college in Italy, in Venice. I don't know. We'll see.
My favorite city, my second favorite city in the world. Oh my gosh. To do what in school?
She's a writer and a poet and a musician right now. So
Venice would be perfect.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But but when she goes, we'll be empty nesters. And Joy has a job now that's remote, 100% remote. So I don't know. I mean, we've talked about a number of things. We talked about maybe buying an RV and spending a year in North America, just exploring.
Yeah.
We talked about going overseas. I talked about maybe teaching part-time at like an American school, somewhere. So yeah, I don't know.
There are so many options.
The only thing there are. I mean, the big thing was selling our house in 2021. Like that was a big deal because that was, a big responsibility that could have held us here. But we timed that right, and we hit that market when it was hot, and
we both did that.
So
that was, I mean, good job us. That is the thing about buying this home here is that we had that like year and a half of, for the very first time in my whole life, like I was fully digitally able to work anywhere. We could have left New Zealand and moved to Mexico or Peru and we had a chunk of change in the bank, which we've never had before, right? So we felt it felt so freeing. And now we have none of that money in the bank. It's all in the house and I owe the bank money. So that was another stressor. So like when we first moved to New Zealand, I just kept waking up at 2 a.m. going, what the fuck did we just do? And while we were buying the house, I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing? But, we could sell it. We could, all of those things, but no plans for that. And, it's just
wonderful.
Good. We have like walked our way into lives that we wanted, haven't we? And that was like, that's what we wanted to do when we first started talking so long ago.
Yeah, we had conversations, shortly after you went full time and as I was going full time and listening to those 5 or 6 years later, I was like, wow, it's kind of crazy. Like, I don't think either of us could have imagined we'd be where we are right now back then.
No, I just got a one of those things that you get on your phone where my photos are backed up to Google. So Google will send me like, this is your day 5 years ago. And I was in Barcelona. And I remember that I was in Barcelona and I was sober. Like, it was my first 2 weeks of being sober. And I was in Barcelona alone. And I just had this thought, like, how much has happened in 5 freaking years?
Yeah.
But it never feels like I'm doing too much. It's just time moves.
Yeah.
So what are you
for sure.
most excited about moving forward?
Moving forward, I am excited to watch my children blossom into young adults, and at the same time to change that energy and no longer be like the have more of a friend energy than a parent energy, because when they're 17 and 20, they're gonna do what the hell they're gonna do, but like it's great. Like Joy and I, we're spending more time together now, and I feel like a sense of accomplishment. Like that was a phase of my life that I committed willingly, but sacrificed a lot, and like that's kind of coming to an end. And I'm just generally very optimistic about life, and I'm enjoying the hell out of my 50s. I really am.
I love hearing that. Yeah, 40s were rough on me. I remember even just like the start of 40. I was like, I don't want to do this, and it was rough in many ways. And the 50s just feel freaking great. I was terrified of them, but they're awesome.
What are you same question to you. What are you looking forward to? What's on the horizon? What are you excited about?
I am looking forward to I am predictable this way, but I'm looking forward to getting some books out. It has been a while since I actually got some books out the door. I've been writing so many of them, and I just have them all like circling the airport in different ways. And I just want to land all the planes, and because I mean, money, yes, sure, give me money, but I really, me, I like all the little stuff that goes behind it. The all the stuff that you have to do. And like you, I do not want to do ads if I can get away with not doing ads. But and this is not official yet, but I had one of those chats with our friend Joe, and I may be thinking about doing a Kickstarter for three of these books in a little package deal. So I don't know, kicking that idea around, but I need to land some of these planes, and and I'm just really excited that I've worked my way into a life that can support me writing just what I want. Fabulous. And I want to plan something else with Lala soon, because we had this big hike that we did, this big 5-day hike that we did in December. And then suddenly we were buying a house. And now I feel like we're both starting to take a breath and like, oh my God. So we were training for 6 months for this 5-day hike. And then we bought a house, and now it's been a couple months. Like, we've been in the house for 1 month. I have 6 more boxes left to unpack, and that's it. And I want to choose a new goal to work toward, because I like that kind of couple goal. Otherwise, we just walk around the house and could like, well, did you do the dishes? It's your turn for the dishes. I don't want to do that. Right. I want to keep this kind of generative excitement. And I don't talk about this with many people, and but like. I know that she needs to find a job probably, but I would love it if I would love it if I made enough money that she wouldn't have to, or if she could find a job that wasn't high stress or super low stress, doing exactly what she loves. I don't want to, she's 54. I get to do the job of my dreams. Why do I want to throw her back into that melee? If we can tighten the belt, keep doing what I'm doing, that would be ideal. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
I think she should start a doggy daycare at the house. And then when I would look out, I would just see dogs running around.
There you go. That would work.
Yeah. So continuing to move forward and spending time with family and friends, and taking care of myself after they leave.
Yeah.
Well, I love you, man. I miss you. It's really, really nice to catch up with you.
I miss you, and it certainly is. And hopefully this will be a nice surprise on people's feeds if they're still subscribed.
Yes, and I'm going to push it
Yeah.
out on my. I'm going to push it out on How Do You Write if you don't mind too. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely.
It'll go both places.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yay!
All right.
All right. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.